are times that when I come on, there are times I just don't know what to say as an opener. But then I was thinking, you know what? Why do I have to be fake? Why can't I just be myself? Just like you, I have issues, I have problems, I have fears, I have concerns. But sometimes I have to just take a moment to just, you know what? Give it up to God. Because I can't control everything. So that means I'm actually relying on someone else or something else to basically take that fear and burden for me to keep traveling forward. So when I do that, it does make me feel better. It makes me feel confident. It makes me feel open to receive a lot more and to be able to do more. So just like when it comes to math, I wasn't always this math person that you see before you. I struggled when I was younger. I used to be one of those kids that was sitting in the class, and next thing you know, I've been taken to the back of the room, not into another issue, with the desk, and you sit there and they give you a piece of paper and they say, okay, work out these problems. And you're looking at the problems, and most of them you've never seen before. But yet they use this information to judge you, to kind of hold you down. This is life before what they used to call special education. Now you get more support. Now you can get like less problems to work out. But I didn't have that. It was just a matter of like you knew it or you didn't. But now you can get the support that you need. If you're anything like me, like fractions, yeah, I wasn't doing that. Hey Nina, just fractions was awful. Word problems, I didn't get that. But as I keep exposing myself to it, and then plus, I just decided that, you know what, I think I would be pretty good at teaching. But in order for me to teach, I had to get in front of a classroom, I had to be able to speak to people, but I also had to know what I was talking about. And that's why I had to do resources. I had to sit down, and this thing called the internet just started to come out. Yes, I'm that old. But when it comes down for you, now you got resources to help you out with your dreams, your exposure. You got a lot of stuff right on your fingertips. Hell, you got a lot of stuff right here on your phone. But as I'm coming to you today, I'm just going to be breaking down some concepts, but also showing you another great resource that I created to help you organize all this. So for those that don't know me, my name is Audrey Codner. I'm the owner of ACG Math Tutoring as well as Math by Audrey, where I'm taking a lot of those concepts, a lot of those algebraic concepts that we all generally struggled with because we're going through math trauma, and we're just breaking it down so you can be successful at maybe a current algebra class, or maybe you're going after your GED or high school equivalency test, or maybe you're trying to get into the military and trying to get your ASVAB score up so you can get more opportunities. Or maybe you want to go back to college, and the way that they figure out what math class you need is they give you what's called an Accuplacer. So, and if you're trying to be a TEAS test, if you're trying to get into nursing and you need assistance with those basic concepts, especially, I may call it basic, but you're calling it from the depths of hell, this is the live for you, all right? So what we're actually going to be doing is a little bit more with the graphing. And we've been talking about slope, and we've been talking about linear equations, basically y equals mx plus b, that's slope-intercept form. But there's another form that's out there. So let me show you not only a new resource that I have, I've actually had it for a couple of years now, but I'm just bringing it out so you guys can see it. So right here, okay, we're going to be looking at graphing linear equations. Now, the one thing I definitely know when I was in the classroom as a classroom teacher, and every time I would write notes, people's notes will be very interesting. I think that's the nicest way for me to say it. Sometimes the notes will kind of be on a straight line because they're using their notebook lines, and sometimes kids are just like, all over the place. But the one thing that I notice when people write down their notes, they don't look at them. because they don't understand it. So what I do is I have my ultimate math notebook. I actually designed this notebook, okay? So when you have your notebook, you have your topic, you have the date, okay? What is the day of this lesson? So for me, this will be like, I want to say day 3, because we've been talking about this for a bit, okay? And then you can actually do some tracking. So like, what is your mood before the lesson? Well, for me right now, I'm feeling pretty good, okay? Now you might be feeling meh, or you might be feeling, I'm about to burn this down, okay? So then this is how you just give like a mood tracker. And this is one thing that I wish a lot of teachers could have on their stuff, because then this is an easy way to gauge how your kids are ready to learn. But what I really want to talk about is the access of stuff right onto the side. We can write your formulas that you're going to use for that day. So no more searching for where your formulas are going to be. Now you can just go right to the formula section, and you can be like, oh, okay, we're going to talk about slope-intercept form, and we're going to talk about standard form. We're also going to introduce the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. So when we're looking at this, we're trying to figure out how to graph. And on top of it, if I scroll down a little bit, and everything doesn't turn, I can write down some steps that will help me. So that means over here, I can actually focus on maybe writing out the problems, but then right here, I have myself going step by step. So since we're looking, and we're starting here with the y equals -2/3 x plus 5. Okay, sounds familiar, right? So when we are graphing, and the reason why I have dots, because it's easy for me to plot points when you're doing some graphing. So what we need is 2 things. The first thing we're going to need is our slope. The second thing we're going to need is our y-intercept. So, as I mentioned the last time, we always want to start at our constant. Our constant is a positive 5. So that means our y-intercept is going to be 0, 5. You always start right here at the origin, but then you go to the y-intercept. The y-intercept will tell you where you should plot your point. Are you going to plot on the positive parts of your y? Or are you going to plant your point at the negative of your y? Since it's a plus 5, that means we're going to go to positive 5. So I'm going to count by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So you're starting at the origin. You're not starting here and counting 1. No, this is at 0. When you count up, that's 1. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Put your point. Now, you need to take a look at your slope. Your slope is always going to be the coefficient of your x. So my slope here is going to be -2/3. So if you remember anything about slope, we know it as rise over run. Your rise, you're either going to go up positive or down negative. Your run, you're either going to go negative to the left, positive to the right. So this is kind of giving us direction. So if I'm starting here, now I'm not starting at 0, I'm starting here as my home base. This is your starting point. Your y-intercept is your starting point. So a lot of us struggle, where do I start with the graphing? So now we're going to look at our slope to figure out where to draw our next point. So here we are. negative 2 over positive 3. So that means my rise is going to be going down 2 because I'm going to give that negative to the 2. Okay? So if I go down 2 and then positive 3 means I'm going to the right 3. Okay? So we're starting here at our 0, 5. We already made our point. So if I go down 2, 1, 2, I'm going to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. And then here I can plant my point. Okay. All right. No, this isn't statistics. Okay. So now we got our negative 2 over 3. Down 2, 1, 2. Over to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. Plot my point. Okay. Now, here's another thing. That was when that was negative 2, 3. What happens if I want to say my slope is a positive 2, but a negative 3? What happens if I give the negative to the denominator? That means we're going in the opposite direction. Again, I'm starting at my y-intercept. So from here, I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2. But since I'm going negative 3, I got to go to the left 3, 1, 2, 3, and plot my point. So when you have a negative slope, you get to pick which one is going to carry the negative, the numerator or the denominator. Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Thanks so much for the follows, guys. I'm coming on in. I know it's bright and early. All right. Some of you guys are like, we're at work. Yep. There you go. No, it's the 25th, but thank you. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Hello, Janice. How are you? Okay. Thank you all for all shining in, coming on in there. Going left is 0, going right, the number goes higher. Okay, so when you're going to your right for the x values, it's positive, going to positive infinity. Going to your left is going to negative infinity. Okay, going up is going to positive infinity, going up. Going down is negative infinity. Okay, Rick? All right. So now that you have this, key part is, now you can draw your straight line. Okay, so you have that. So no matter what, if you went up 2 or if you went down 2, you still know that there are same points on that same line. Okay? Now, what we're going to jump into is when it's in standard form. Okay? Any questions on this first one? So where to start? Always start at your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is basically, since it's a positive 5, that means I'm looking at 0, 5, this point right here. From this point, that's when you use the slope. So my slope, if I said negative 2 over 3, that means my rise is going down 2 and my run is going to the right 3. Plot the point. You can do it again. Down 2, going to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, plot your point. Okay? If you want to keep going until you feel comfortable that you can draw a straight line, do so. All right? Do so. Love my face on this. Okay. So, with that being said, Ooh, what happened to the screen? Alright, I don't know what's going on. Now we're going to go into what's called standard form. So this time we have 4x minus 2y equals 8. This is in standard form because if you notice, your x and your y's are both on the same side of the equal sign. Okay, let me do a small little comparison. My camera just does not want to stay put. Okay, so here y was on one side of the equal sign, x is on the other side. Whereas over here, both x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. Now, if you're given an equation and they said for you to graph it, you can use what's called your intercepts. So let's take a look. So what is an intercept? We got right here. This is your x-intercept is when your y value is equal to 0. And your y-intercept, which we talked about earlier, is when your x value is equal to 0. So you're actually going to plug stuff in order to get your answers. So as I like to say right here, use the intercepts to plot the points on the x and y axes. Or basically solve for x and convert to slope-intercept form, which is your y equals plus b, y equals mx plus b. So let's try the intercept first. Let's do a little bit of solving. So if I want to use, say, the x-intercepts. So if I'm looking at the x-intercept, that means I want my y value to equal 0. So I'm looking at the original equation. So I'm plugging a 0 in for the y. So that means we have 4x minus 2 times 0 is equal to 8. Do you see what I just did? Okay, all we did was plug in the 0 for y. So now, what happens? Anything times 0. In this case, we have a negative 2 times 0. This right here is going to give us the value of 0. Because we don't need, since we know it's a 0, we don't need to put 0 down because 0 is a placeholder. You know why? Because we still have this 4x to bring down. Okay? Since we know we're going to get a 0, we're not going to get anything. Anything plus a 0 is itself. So all we have to do is just bring down that 4x is equal to 8. So now, divide both sides by 4, and x will equal to 2. What you found is your x-intercept. And the point of your x-intercept is 2, 0. Okay. Yep, 0 is always a placeholder. Yes, it is. Okay. So now that we found our x-intercept, we can plot that. Starting here at 0, 0, starting at our origin, our x value is 2. So remember, this is our x and this is our y. So our x value is 2. So I'm moving over to the right 1, 2, and I'm plotting my point. The reason why I'm plotting my point is because my y value is 0. So that means I'm not going up or down. I'm just starting at the origin and going on the x-axis to make my point. Okay? This is what's called an x-intercept. Yes. No problem, Dave. Appreciate you. All right. So that's what our x-intercept is. Now, let's see if I can use. I will just use this one. Because my blanking came out earlier. Now, we're going to look at the y-intercept. So I'm going to take it over here. So the y-intercept is when we're making our x value equal to 0. So now we have our 4 times 0 minus 2y is equal to 8. So we have the same equation, but this time we made our x equal 0. Right? So now, again, this time we have 4 times 0, so that gives me a 0. But what comes down, and this is what gets a lot of people, you will automatically write down 2y is equal to 8. What's missing? What's missing? Okay, thank you for the follows. Okay, Andrea, the negative, Queen, negative, Mickey, negative, yes. This minus sign acts as a negative to the 2, not to the 4, okay? A lot of people keep thinking that, oh, this is a negative 4, so I'm going to add 4 on both sides. No, 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 because this minus sign is acting as a negative for the 2. So wherever the 2 goes, that negative goes. Again, 4 times 0 is 0. 0 is a placeholder. We don't need it because we're dealing with this negative 2y. So now we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. So negative and negative is a positive. 2 divided by 2 is going to be 1, so that's why I just write the y. And y equals negative 4. So what you just found is the y-intercept. So that means your y-intercept is going to be 0, negative 4. So again, starting at the origin, how we're going to plot that? We are at 0. That's your x value. So we don't go left to right. Stay here at 0. But that negative 4 is telling me I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plot your point. Okay. So with you doing that, now you can draw your line. Okay. So some people will say, hey, maybe it would be easier for me to just go ahead and translate the standard form to slope-intercept form. We can definitely do that. But if they're just saying, give me a graph, well, then use your intercepts. Make your y equal to 0, solve it. That means you just found your x-intercept. Make your x equal to 0, solve it. And that's mean you just did your y-intercept. And then you just plot your 2 points. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. All right, Queen of Spades, thank you. All right. So now, let me take it to, no ma'am? Awesome. All right. So let me take it to the last part. So if we started off with 4x minus 2y is equal to 8, and maybe you might feel comfortable going from standard to slope-intercept form. Let me show you, because this is when you're doing some algebra. So basically, slope-intercept form is that y equals mx plus b. Okay, this is our goal right here. So that y is going to be by itself on one side of the equal sign. So that means this negative 2y right here is going to stay right where it is. So when that stays right where it is, that means I need to get rid of this 4x and move it to the other side. So the 4x is a positive 4x. So in order for me to move it, I have to do its inverse, which is subtracting 4x. Positive 4x and negative 4x cancels out to give me 0. I don't need the 0 because the 0 is a placeholder. So what do? Let me just bring down. And then on the opposite side, you can say 8 minus 4x. That's fine. Do not combine these two. You should not be writing a 4x only over here. They're not like terms. So a lot of people get screwed up here. This is an 8. This is a negative 4x. That doesn't have an x, but this one does. So I like to put it in its form already. Okay, this 8's a positive 8. That's why there's a plus sign with the 8. The 4 is negative. That's why the negative stays with the 4. So now, the last part, what do I do next so I can get y by itself? Oh, kitty lover. Thanks for sharing the live. Okay, what do I do next to get y by itself? If you're not sure, you can put a question mark. If you do know it, put it in the chat. Okay. Is that Estrella? Saying divide by negative 2. Gertrude, divide by negative 2. I'm hoping I'm not abusing your name. Queen of Spades, divide by 2. Okay, it's giving me that. T is not sure. Thank you for your honesty, T. I appreciate that. Okay, I know there's more. All right. Okay. Okay, Gertrude's giving me that as well. All right. So the only thing that's stopping me is this negative 2. When I see a negative 2 in a variable, this means negative 2 times variable, y. So if this is multiplication, because in between I don't see a plus or minus sign between the 2 and y. So the inverse of multiplication, that's division. And I like to divide everything individually because I want to make sure I divide everything. So now we have a negative 2 divided by negative 2. That gives me my 1y. 1y and y means the same thing. Okay? Save yourself some trouble because when you have a 1 here and then you divide everything by 1, anything divided by 1 is going to be itself. So you're just giving yourself extra work. And remember, a lot of those assessments are going to be timed. And you need to figure out how to get the knowledge and how to show the knowledge without wasting too much time. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I bring down the x. Positive 8 divided by a negative 2, that gives me a negative 4. And just like what we did earlier, x can be any number. That's why it's x. X is a variable. That means x is representing the missing number to make this equation into a true statement. Okay? So when people say, oh, x is 1, no. The coefficient or the number in front of the x can be 1, but it can be any number. Okay? All right. So, just like how we solved before, where would we start? Okay, we're in slope-intercept form. If I just looked at this equation right here that's boxed, where would I start? What is my starting point? Where is my starting point? Okay, hey Johnny. Okay, Rick, you're saying the 2. Okay, are we agreeing? Just put it in the chat. If you think you know it, put it down. If you're right, awesome. If you're wrong, we'll make the correction. And guess what? We get to live. You know, this is not Squid Games, guys. I'm not coming at you. I'm not doing red light, green light. We're good. All right? So we've got to learn from our mistakes. We got to not be afraid to make mistakes. And if you're not sure, then put a question mark. Okay? Okay, Queen of Shade is saying yes. Okay, on both sides. Okay, it's okay to be wrong and study for you. Exactly, and that's awesome. And I hate to say it, Queen, that you're young. Because I do have a lot of people, either I'm tutoring or a lot of people that come in my lives, they're in their 60s and going after their GEDs. So, hey, it doesn't matter at what age. I'm proud of the fact that you're doing it. Okay, so what's the question? Sure. If I am going to graph this equation right here, what's in the box, where do I start? What is my starting point? What is my starting point? Okay, of course. Of course. I'm telling you. Everyone leaves at their own accord at whatever reason. And no matter, the reason doesn't matter. The main fact that you're trying to push through, it's awesome. Okay. The 2x, okay. This is starting point, I think. Okay. The -2 on both sides. No, it's just what's inside this equation. So where you will actually start, there you go, Newsom. You always start at your constant, the y-intercept. Whatever this number and signage is, that's going to be your starting point. Every single time. The number of the, let's try it this way. The number that's in front of your variable, that's your slope. Okay? Yes. Because right here, y is by itself. So if you were to graph it, you always start at the constant, the one that doesn't have an x or y next to it. That's called the constant. That's your y-intercept. So you're going to make your first mark at 0, -4. Your y-intercept is where it intersects the y-axis. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's -4. That looks familiar. All right. So now you're going to use your slope. Anytime your slope is a whole number, make it into a fraction. Because remember what we said about slope. Slope is rise over run. Slope is a fraction. It's naturally a fraction. So if you have it as a whole number without devaluing the number, put it over 1. So now I'm starting here at -4. And my slope is telling me my rise is going to be 2 and my run is going to be to the right 1. So if I rise up 2, 1, 2, go to the right 1, boom, here's a point. Okay. If I rise up 1, 2, go to the right 1, look at that. We already had that point. All right. Okay. All right. What's the 5, Rick? Okay. So if you're ever in slope-intercept form, look at the constant. That's where you start. Now, here's a GED ASVAB test. If they give you a graph and they say, what's the equation? Here's the first thing you should look. If they give you the equation and they give you a whole bunch of graphs, like usually like 4 graphs, look at the y-intercept. If the y-intercept says -4, and if you see it crossing the y-axis up here, you know it's not it. If you see it crossing all the way down here, you know it's not it. If you see 2 of them that says -4, beautiful. That's the process of elimination. So say the one graph is going down and the one graph is going up. Now you need to look at the slope. If the slope is positive, boom, you're going to take the graph that's going up. All right? Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. I needed those. I was more of a Matthew girl this morning, but that was good. All right? So sometimes these equations are giving you little clues. It's almost like you got to act like you're a detective when it comes to like trying to find these things. You guys are trying to solve problems like you're in the classroom taking notes. No. When you're doing these type of standardized tests, the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, HESI test, even, any of those standardized tests, especially ACT, SAT, all of it. All they want is their answer. Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? Is the negative on the bottom? Yes, these are your negative y values. Okay? Over here is your negative x values. Right here in the center is your 0, 0. Because basically, axes are basically 2 number lines crossing at a common goal, which is at 0. So my positive numbers is going towards the right, my negative numbers to the left. Positive numbers going up, negative numbers going down. Okay? Oh, good. Well, welcome. All right? So, for my y-intercept, we had a -4, so we're here at 1, 2, 3, 4. My slope is positive. Boom. Going up to 1, 2 from my starting point. Going up to 1, 2 over 1. Going up 1, 2 over 1. Okay? What's positive? Y is like. X is always positive. Y is likely to be negative. What are you saying, Queen of Spades? Hold on. Because X isn't always positive. I'm just kind of curious. All right? Okay? So, you learned a little bit, well actually a couple of times, how to graph using slope-intercept form. Your starting point is always going to be your constant. Okay? Your slope is going to tell you where to go to draw the next point. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. I was like, wait, what? What's going on? I thought you were making a whole general rule. I'm like, no, wait, no, let's correct that. All right. Then you also looking at the intercepts. All right. So let me try. What's about negative? Okay, got you. Thank you. All right. So on the other side of my page is my usual, regular grid. But what happens if they ask you to make the equation of the line? So you're probably saying, oh dear God. No, it's okay. It is okay. So this is not as crystal clear as the other stuff. What happens if they want us to find the equation? So they give us this, and they'll give us like a series of equations. Well, one thing I'm going to let you know is where my problem comes in. Okay, so this is one thing. One, you always take a look. From left to right, this graph is increasing. So if we recall the equation of a line, and they always use y equals mx plus b. Anytime they say write the equation of a line, they're using this equation. So your slope, your m, if you look at the answer choices and you see any of them with a negative number and your graph is going up like this, you can cross those options out. All right? Are we clear with that? If you take a look at the number that's next to the x, that's what a coefficient's called. That is going to be your slope. If you notice that your graph is like this and it's going upwards, and if you see a negative number, regardless if it's a whole number or a fraction, you can eliminate that. Okay? Now, we need to figure out what are our slope? What is our y-intercept? But right now, it's going to be a little tricky because right here, this is supposed to be my y-intercept, and it's not quite reaching this line or this point right here. So we're going to have to do a little extra work. And what that extra work looks like, we're going to have to, remember those when I was like, yep. All right, we're going to have to find a couple of points. And this is how you find a couple of points. You see how the grid lines are? And you see the blue line? You want to get something that's going to intersect, almost like the middle of a T. So this point right here would work. Okay? It's kind of close. But this point right here will work. This one's actually hitting right here. Okay? It's a little close. You see how I picked that point? Because this grid line and this grid line, the blue line crosses right smack in the middle of it. This one actually hit right smack in the middle of it. So now we have 2 points. Just like, if I may flip, just like how we found here. Okay? All we really need is just 2 lines, 2 points to make a straight line. So now let's work it in reverse. My starting point is where it crosses the y-axis, which is right here. They're counting by ones, because that's 1, here's 2, this 3, 4. So that means this point is 0, 5. So your y-intercept is at 5. Okay, yep, don't give up. But now we need to find our slope. We know it's positive, so now we need to walk it up. I can start from this point down here and try to get to this point here. So, good morning, Ken. Here's the best way. Think of it as this is my house, and the best party of the year is going to happen here. So how do I get from my house to this person's house? Now, these blocks are representing, say, city blocks. And I gotta walk. Hey, gas is expensive, okay? And plus, you can't park anywhere. So you decide to walk. Now, you can't walk through people's homes. That's how you get shot, okay? We don't want to do that. So we have to figure out a way how to basically make almost like a triangle. So how do I get from here to here? Starting here, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I went up 7 blocks. Then we go over. Which way, Ken? Are we going to go over to the left or go over to the right, and how many? to the right. Thank you. And how many? 2. Thank you. Now, we started here. We went up 7 blocks. Do not make a point. Okay? We went up 7 blocks. And now we need to go over 1, 2. So since we went over to the right 2, that's going to be a positive 2. So what you just found, ladies and gentlemen, is your slope. Your rise is a positive 7, and your run, since you went to the right, it's a positive 2. Right? Good. So now, unless you're talking vector, I can see that. If you're talking vectors, yes. But if you're talking the point value here, no. My y-intercept, or my b, is going to be 5, because that's where it crosses on the y-axis. So now we got this a bit of information. Plug it into the equation. Okay, so let's plug in. So that means we have y equals my slope, which is 7/2. You're like, oh, well, don't we have to reduce that? Nope. Do not put your slope as a decimal. Okay? Because the 0 represents your x values. Okay, we didn't go left or right when it came to 5. If we start here at the origin, when we plot points, we didn't go to the left or to the right. All we did was go straight up to 5. Okay, so that's why your x value is going to be 0. Good question. Okay. All right, so when you have your ordered pairs, it's always your x, then your y values. Think of the alphabet. Okay. So why did I put a b instead of a 5? I have no idea. So this is going to be your equation for this line. Okay. Yes, it did. Okay. All right. You always could sell gold. All right. And what's the rate of gold now? All right. So good. NBM, yes. Because that's what it is. These are the little things. That was nice? Well, thank you. All right. Who was that person that I was talking to earlier? That's my brain. Queen of Spades. How are you doing now? Because you said this was something that was a little trick. A little tricky. It's tricky to rock and run. That's right on top. It's tricky. Oh, it's tricky. Okay, so sometimes there's a little bit of clues that they're giving you in these exams, and then you don't have to spend so much time trying to work out each problem, because then you're wasting so much time. Okay, so much time, so much energy. So you always take a look. All right, where is my y-intercept? My y-intercept is at positive 5. If you see a negative 5, that's not the option. Cross it out. If you see a negative 10, that's not the option. Cross it out. If you see a positive 1/2, nope, that's not the option. So if you do see one that gives you a positive 5 as a y-intercept, that's your answer. Circle it, click it, bubble it, move on. Okay? They're not trying to make it too complicated. Okay? All right, one more problem, and this is the last problem for today. I know I'm overworking you guys, stimulating those minds, okay? Now, if you actually like how the structure of this is my ultimate math notebook, okay? I like to have the dotted side so it'll be easy to graph. You notice how easy we were able to plot points. Also gives you a section to put your formulas. Also gives you a section for you to write your steps. Because sometimes, just like me, I couldn't remember what I did last week. But now, if I write down my notes, I can remember things a lot easier. Okay? So again, I have these math notebooks that are designed for math instruction only. Because not only do I have this on the very back, I have resource pages. So a lot of the resource pages that you see for my algebra pace, they're here. Okay? We have the factor charts. Okay? We have our positive and negative. So we always give them clues. Just like in the back of the, composition books. Also word problems and everything. All of this is in here. Okay? All of these resources are in here. Some of them I have, this one was for my Algebra 2 kiddos, but a lot of these concepts, I also have some for younger students as well, and all of them are found on the A, okay? The A as in the rainforest, the brown box. Okay? So, we have one more, so it's easy just so you can put everything all together. My very interesting face. Alright, so here is our last one. So now we're going from basic graphing, equations. Now let's test your skills. Can you pull the information out to create an equation? Alright, so Sheila has $200 in her account. Each month, she deposits $40 in her account without withdrawing any interest paid onto her account. Which of the following equations could Sheila use to find the total amount, T, in her account at the end of M months? Is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, so she has $200 in her account. She deposits $40 into her account. No withdrawals, no interest, just a regular, totally free checking account. Which one of those equations is representing her total amount at the end of how many months? Is it A, B, C, or D? Go ahead and try putting it in the chat. If you're not sure, put a question mark. Okay? Okay, MBM, you're saying C. Thank you for your courage. Appreciate it. Okay, anyone else? Don't be fearful. What do you think? Okay, so we got D. So universe, thank you. All right, thanks for the follow. Okay, and if you don't know, go ahead and put a question mark. I'm perfectly fine with that. Let me see if we can get one more. There we go. KCL, you're saying D. All right, so let's take a gander. Let's take a look. So we're starting out, starting out with $200 in the account. This is your y-intercept. Remember, your starting point, your starting amount, what you initially have before you do anything to it is always going to be your y-intercept. So now every month, this is what's happening every month. Anytime they say each month, every month, that's your slope. Miles per hour. Okay? A certain amount every month, a certain amount every hour. What you get paid per hour, if you're an hourly wage person, that's your slope. Okay? So if you don't work a day, unless you're one of those jobs that you only get paid for work. So if you don't work, you don't get paid. Okay? A lot of places are not doing that anymore, but some places are. That's your slope. So I didn't have to read the whole thing, but my whole thing is you should always read the question. So they want to know, which of the following equations, okay, is used to find the total amount in her account. So if we're starting out with $200, it's not going to be C, because we're saying for C that they started off with $40 and Sheila is putting $200 per month. That's not going to be it. Okay, so the only one that shows you're starting out with 200 and you're putting in $40 a month is going to be D. All right, do we see it now? Okay, good. Yep, so anytime you see your starting amount, I initially put in, we started with 15 people. I don't know, those type of things. That's always going to be your y-intercept. Whatever you start with or whatever was the initial, that's your y-intercept. So right away, if I saw this question, I saw the 200, I'm looking to see which one has 200. Oh, D does? Boom, that's my answer. Move on. Okay? That's how you take it with the standardized test. All right? So, if you like these, okay, if you like all these type of questions and the breakdowns and everything else, if you like the display, okay, you can order this. This is ordered directly on the A, directly on the. But if you need additional support with the process and you want me to basically keep breaking things down for you, you can also be a person for my other books, which is called Algebra at Your Pace. So it's not just a traditional workbook. What happens is you get a QR code in the beginning, okay? Once you scan that QR code, you will get a series of videos that will break down all the concepts that's in each of the books. So for volume 1, we're looking at adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing integers, whole numbers, fractions, decimals, okay? Properties of exponents. Let me make this a little bit clearer. Properties of exponents as well as square roots. Okay, everything that you need. So you'll be able to take down notes. You'll be able to get some extra practice problems after you do the instruction, which you also get a section for you to do all the practice and the exit ticket. So if you like to get all those step by step, and just like I did for my notebook, at the end you're given a quiz. So just to make sure you're able to solidify what you're learning. So after you do all that, and you get stuck, you have the rules of integers. You have a lot of support stuff that comes with each of the books. Okay? So you'll have your volume 1 with integers, decimals, and exponents. You have volume 2, which goes more into order of operations, ratios, proportions, fractions, functions, and also scientific notation. All of that is in here. Not only just to practice, but also word problems. I love these type of word problems, especially if you're taking the ASVAB. They're very much those arithmetic reasoning type problems. So that's why I took a lot of those. And here's your percentage word problems as well. Okay? And I walk you through it step by step instead of just giving you word problems for you to work on. I actually instruct it with you. Okay? You want to go test the GED? Yes, definitely. And these things will help you out. Okay? And it'll have a whole entire 10-book series. So the next thing will be solving. Notice it's a progression. I'm not giving you everything all at once. It slowly impacts on it, because just like how I used to teach in the classroom, you gotta progress. Okay, yes, there's going to be a natural spiral back, but there is still a progression. You have your linear equations. This is the stuff that we got our sample problems from. Okay, I pulled from this book. So then you have anything for your slope. Then you have your system of equations. You can purchase the books also on the A, but I also have my stan.store if you want the ebook versions of these. So if you ever want to take a little gander, let me see if I can get to my thing. So if you go to my profile, okay, there is a link, clear that up, right down here at the bottom. So if you click on that link, I got big fingers, it will take you directly to my stan.store, okay? So it'll give you a nice little starting point. If anything, here's a free math skills check, just so you can see like, hey, maybe I do understand some concepts, or maybe I just need additional work. And then I got some digital downloads, so there's no shipping. These are all ebooks. Okay, so you get this starter system, which is volume 1 and volume 2. Plus, with the 2 volumes, you also can get a practice exam book, because we need to practice the way that we're going to be assessed. So if you want to, you can just click on it. It doesn't give you immediately like, oh, I got to pay for it right away. No, you take a look at it. So if I scroll up and not try to scroll my phone off my desk, okay, it'll actually give you a description of what exactly it is. Now the video walkthrough, I'm taking the extra practice problems and the quizzes, okay, and I break it down as like a video answer key. I literally just walk you through step by step. How do we get our answers for that? And that's going to be for volume 1. So again, if you want to scroll down, read along, you can read along, and then that's when you can put all your information in. Okay? So that is the starter. So if you want to know where to start, that'll be a good start. Then you have some other systems. I'll give you the complete book. If you want the whole thing, that means you're going to get all 10 of my book series plus 2 practice books. Each book, one book is like 210 questions. Another book is 135 practice questions that you can walk yourself through. So with that, if you want just the individual ones and you just want to get started with just one, you can do that. And they're like $12.99. It goes directly to your email, okay? And you can see each and every one of those books. But if you like the physical copies, you're like, oh, where can I find that? And you're having trouble finding it on the A, you can scroll all the way down. Okay, I'll go through some of the resources. You can scroll all the way down and it actually says physical books and resources. So if you click on this, and it will take you to one of my landing pages off my website. Then if you scroll up, you'll get more details of what each of the volume ones, and it'll take you to the physical copies. Okay, so if that's something that interests you, you can go there. All right, but if you also are thinking about, you know what, I just need the practice, well, you can practice one of 2 ways. You can, as I have like a huge gash on my phone, life is fast. Hey, Lynette. So if anything, if you just want the GED ASVAB practice one, let me show you what that one is. This is the mama jama of all of them. So with this, you get 6 full-length tests. Okay, so this comes with that starter pack. So if anything, you're basically, oh, hold on, okay. So you're basically have the problems step by step, and you can actually sit down, lock yourself in a room, and time yourself so you can practice taking a test. You need to practice the way that you are going to be assessed. So this is a total of 210 questions. You have 6 different full-length tests that you can take. Okay, so this is the practice test that does come with that starter. Now, there's a second one that I did just for the ASVAB. Now for the ASVAB, very similar, but it's 135 questions because each of the questions or each of the quizzes, I made them at most 40 questions. Okay, made it a little more intensive. But it's the same concepts. Okay, same concepts, usually 4 to a page. And then you do 3 quizzes, and then of course I threw a bonus quiz in there that did a lot more with factoring. And then all you do is you just sit down and you just take the quiz, practice with it. Now, you can do with just the practice, or you can intensify a bit. I don't want to go too fast for you to get dizzy. So you can either practice. Hello. Too elevated. There we go. You can either get the practice, or you can get the practice with video solutions. Okay, so if you want me to walk you through it step by step, and you just want the practice, there we go. It's not so blinding. Okay, and you want the video walkthrough of maybe just a practice test, and also for the ASVAB practice test, and you want me to also walk you through step by step with the videos, those are options as well. Okay? Yep, that answers your question, Lynette. All right? But for the ultimate, if you want the answer key for all books and for all the practice ones, that's why you want to basically go for the Mama Jama right here for the ultimate. Okay? And we also have a whole lot of resources. Alrighty? So take a look. Go ahead. My suggestion, if I were you, as I'm going super fast and you're probably like, wah! Alright, so if you want the complete set with all the video answer keys and everything, this is the complete ebook series. Alright? So my suggestion, if you're just like, hey, I want to try something, but I don't want to get too crazy, try the skills test. Okay? Take a look at the starter system. Alright, this is what I was selling during Juneteenth for $27. So now, got to go back up to my 42. Alright? But if you have any questions and you're like, I really want this, or like, do you do tutoring, or I don't know where to start, even though I told you about this, go ahead and send me a message. Alright? Send me a message. And then I can break down all the concepts, and maybe we might be able to build a plan for you. Because it's got to be something that's going to be conducive to your lifestyle, but it has to be something of great importance. If it's not of great importance, it's going to be hard to get. You're going to get yours today. All right, awesome. How are you? I haven't seen you, MJ, for a minute. You're probably like right down the street from me. So again, if you have any questions, if you're interested into the books, if you like the series, trust me. Go ahead and set your order, or just click on my profile pic a couple of times and send me a message. Okay? If you're kind of like curious about like, I think I want this, I'm not sure if I want this, does it work for me? I'd rather you ask questions before you make a purchase and then all of a sudden like, oh wait, that's not what I want. Because once you make a purchase, especially for the ebooks, all sales are final. And I don't want to be that person like, all sales are final, and then that's it. All right, awesome. So, anyone has any questions? Because I know, I kind of gave a lot. But you guys are doing awesome, though. All right, so you can actually get the physical books, or you can get it as an ebook. Okay, the physical books, I'm going to tell you, on Amazon is $24.99. Yes, $24.99. Okay, whereas the physical books individually is $12.99. And the physical books do not come with the extra practice. They don't come with it. The only ones that come with it is the ebooks. Hello, California Living. How are you? Trust me. Trust me. They always do. Oh Oh, the stories I can tell, but I won't, out of respect. Okay, good. All right, so, yep, brought back the old notebooks. When school's coming back, and I know you're probably like, wow, all that for a notebook, but it comes with 100 blank pages, and that's one thing I didn't do. Okay, let me finish up this way because of today's lesson. So, just like how we would do in class, I don't know about you, but before class I felt pretty okay. Okay, during the lesson, I don't know, how do you think you felt? But after the lesson, I feel awesome. Okay? Alright? So, this is what it is. Aw, I know, right? So, if anything, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, okay? Even if you need something for like a younger sibling or for your younger child, especially like if you're going to be doing any kind of math and your child is about to go into, let's say, first grade or second grade, or maybe yourself, you just want to learn an interesting way of like how to understand these numbers, make sure, if you guys have noticed, there's a person in here learning with Lynette, make sure you definitely, let me see, okay, make sure you follow her. Because the way that she's doing math, especially with the abacus, if you ever like type in the word math in your like sort of regular text message and this thing with beads come up, that's an abacus. Okay, that's been around for not just recent, but for centuries. That's how we used to learn how to count, using an abacus. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and follow her. She is in somewhere in the comments. I think I should just pin you. Can I just pin you? I can do that. Look at me just being all fun and exciting. Yep, I can pin it. Bam, there she is. Okay, so make sure you follow her. If you guys are thinking about going into nursing and you need help with dosage calculations, make sure you guys see a blessed RN. She is amazing with that, and she is currently an RN. I think I went kind of crazy with the blessed. Yes, I did. There we go. Let's try that better. Here we go. All right, so make sure you follow a blessed RN if you need help with dosage calculations as well. Okay? All right, everyone? Done? Sweet. All right, everyone. Have a lovely day, and I will see if I will be on later on this afternoon. I'm not too sure because life is just be lifing. But make sure I'm going to have the replays on my usual YT. So if you want to see the replay of today's session and other sessions, you can also take a look at my YT channel. All right, Math by Audrey. Okay, everyone. Have a lovely day, and I'll talk with you soon. Take care.